it would be awesome, right? If BCCI and ECB field a completely new playing 11 and just on a groggy Monday morning announce to the world that we are having the final shootout test, winner takes all. A new 11 comes in from India and then a new 11 from ECB.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, Narayanan, because you and I both were really grumpy when the final test was cancelled. We didn't want to win that as a 2-1 as it stands now. We wanted to win convincingly 3-1. Hello, everybody. My name's Dev, and with me, as usual, is my friend Narayanan, joining us from Kolkata this time. And we have a very special guest with us today. He's my colleague from Royal Park, Brunswick Cricket Club. Why am I saying colleague, as if we work together? He's my teammate from that club, and he captained the side last summer, and he did really well, very well. The boys reached semi-finals. Unfortunately, couldn't make it further. But hello, everybody. Please welcome Izuru, here from Melbourne, but originally from Colombo. Hey, mate.
Hey, thank you so much for Dev having me. Pleasure.
Awesome.
Let's have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely, and good to see you in those Royal Park colours. I can't wait for me to be back in those colours this season. Some exciting and some shocking news to talk about in today's episode. We'll begin with the first one, the rather disappointment that happened last week with the cancellation of the final test between India and England. Narayanan, please, I want you to vent as much as you can.
There's nothing to vent. It has been a beautiful series. It has been an enthralling series, and yeah, it was poised brilliantly as we entered the fifth and final test in Manchester. India leading 2-1, 2 victories in London, the only loss at Headingley, Leeds. It had everything for a great series. India on the cusp of winning a very important away series in England, and England trying to come back from the jaws of defeat and salvaging some pride and trying to end the series at 2-all. Yeah, it's just unfortunate how the events transpired on the eve of the morning of the test and just an hour before the commencement of the test. But we must understand that whatever cricket is being played under secure bio bubbles, and yeah, irrespective of what each boards felt or feel like players are entitled to be playing. I do believe that health is of paramount importance over everything else, and that takes precedence. And you can see why the players of India were kind of skeptical to take the field, because initially the main physio who was detected as positive, along with the coach and the bowling coach Ravi and Bharat Arun, the assistant physio was promoted to the role of a head physio. The moment the assistant physio, a day prior to the commencement of the test, was tested positive, this means he spent considerable amount of time with the players in close proximity. And more importantly, the players are going to be entering the test to survive 5 days without a physio. And no physio can ever complete his role or fulfill his obligations or perform his duties. I would rather frame it this way, by being on a Zoom call. You need the physio to be physically on the player's face, all along him, beside him, however way, because he can kind of assess and know what needs to be done. So on the one hand, you can feel, yeah, players have their families and kids traveling with them. Kids are not vaccinated. Even if they suspect themselves to be in close proximity with a guy with COVID, you rather get yourself quarantined. And on the other hand, you're entering a very crucial, important test without a physio. Now that's a big risk to take. So I guess all in all, it kind of made sense that players were not keen to take the field. It was not a matter of how people were blaming the IPL, and IPL was the big reason. But if you look at how BCCI had proposed to ECB, that pushed the Manchester test to be the first test of the series before the Trent Bridge one and Nottingham. but ECP wanted the priority over the 100 over there. So yeah, T20 does take precedence across all state national cricket boards, but yeah, in this case, I don't think it was that was the main factor that which got cancelled.
Yeah, no, some valid points there, and I'm glad you brought IPL into the picture, because that was indeed what fans across the world were thinking. Was IPL the reason? Now, Izuru, I know you follow IPL to some extent, and what do you have to say with the shorter format now commencing tonight? And just as
Mumbai, let me just say, Mumbai.
Oh, Mumbai. Oh, tonight's match, I'm more of CSK fan against Mumbai because of MSD. But other than that, yeah, I'm all the way Mumbai. But my question to
The
you,
new mentor of the Indian cricket team.
Okay, but yeah, absolutely. So my question to you is how important is this preparation to the T20 World Cup? Now, I know we would love to have Sri Lankan players in the IPL, more participation from your team, but it will be a good practice season before the big T20 World Cup comes up in a few weeks' time. And that's happening in the Middle East itself. So good way to acclimatize, isn't it?
I mean, it's true. Like, I mean, IPL is one of like, it's like a World Cup now. It's a very big major cricket tournament now. Like, you know, like if you take the cricket calendar, you know, there's 2 months separated just for IPL, because that's how much impact it has, you know, on global sport. You know, the whole, like, you know, you get emerging countries coming up, emerging players, you identify new talents, you see all of these world-class cricketers coming up thanks to the IPL. Like, you wouldn't have the Pandyas if not for the IPL, isn't it? So, I mean, good point you bringing up. It's been playing in the UAE, obviously not the best, you know, it would have been nice to be played in, you know, in India, you know, all that stuff. But actually with the World Cup also in UAE and having people playing in the UAE, we've seen that with a lot of cricket in the past, you know, year or so with COVID. UAE has been the place where everyone kind of, you know, feels safe to play cricket. I don't know why in particular, but, you know, that's the go-to, you know, the common ground, the middle ground. You know, if you have a one-off test, let me play in the UAE, you know, things like that. You know, it's been the UAE, you know, has, you know, been everyone's, let's say, fallback or plan B. So with the whole World Cup coming on, the IPL is obviously going to be quite important, especially when it comes to those, you know, tight group matches and, you know, things like that. Like, you know, there's no, you can't take away, you know, getting used to the conditions and stuff like that. Obviously, players who play in the IPL will have that advantage. And we saw how many people actually dropped out of the IPL. Like, you know, you saw the replacements. You know, and once again, it comes to, you know, like Narayan said, bubble fatigue and things like that. People are just moving from bubble to bubble to bubble to bubble, and that can take a toll. Like, you might have your families, you might have everything, you know, and you think, oh yeah, these players, you know, they've got a smile on their face, you know, all that, you know, they get paid the big bucks, they should do that, you know, why complain? But I mean, they're human after all, right? You know, they go through the mental, they need the mental strength, and sometimes it's hard. It's not easy. But yeah, I mean, IPL, this, you know, the second half is going to be very, very critical in my opinion. Like, I feel like you'll see a lot of players do well, or if some people struggle, then yeah, it can kind of affect the overall final result of, you know, who's going to come out at the top. You know, we'll have to wait and see.
Some valid point. Mental health is indeed important, and you and I know we've been more than 220 days in lockdown in Melbourne already this year, and in the past 12 months, and it's so hard for us. And let alone the people who are traveling from one country to another, not able to be with their families. And just it takes so much toll on somebody's mind. We saw how Ben Stokes had to pull out of the India-England series before it actually started, citing reasons of mental health, and also
And he's most
pulling out of the
likely not
T20.
going to play the Ashes. Yeah, he's probably not going to play the Ashes at all.
Which,
So,
which is, you know, for us, it's a bummer, because I'm so looking forward to go to the G once the restrictions are lifted and we get back to cricket this summer. But that from the IPL, let's move to another point. Now, this question will be to both of you, because I know both of you are fans of Virat Kohli, and I want to ask Narayanan first. Narayanan, the big decision. Virat Kohli stepping down after the T20 World Cup. Your thoughts, your viewpoints, please.
I think social media plays a big part, and is also a constructive evil, with a lot of, we always say, try to block out the noise, But yeah, every person is human after all. I mean, you attend presser after presser, the journalists keep questioning your tactics, even in spite if you win. If you lose, they're going to come after you with knives. If you win, why did you drop this player? Why did you not pick the other one?
And we already saw
XYZ.
that in the India-England series.
Yeah, with Ashwin not being picked at all in the 4 matches played so far. So it kind of like based on someone, and he is just starting a family. He's, I think, 33 years of age right now. Phenomenal player. Yeah, going through a lean patch. I guess he just wants to spend a little more comfortable time with his family to avoid the stress of a T20 captainship. But yeah, I do not know how much that is going to relieve him, because if you look at the whole calendar, India plays about 6 or 8 T20 only, T20 internationals in a calendar year. I mean, if you don't consider the World Cup. So it's not many matches that India does play T20 series. So is that the reason, or is it just to kind of like put the ball rolling to start off with the T20 side and then look at the ODI captainship as well? But yeah, it kind of looks to be headed in that direction, with him officially declaring it. And see, another reason what I always feel is that whenever you look at past captains for India under Saurabh Dada or MSD, they have always groomed an upcoming person, and groomed him in a way to say that once we are done or once we are not available, you need to be prepared to take up the mantle. In this case, if you look at the white ball team, Rohit is the clear vice captain. The age difference of Rohit and Virat is not much. It's just 1.5 years, where Rohit is younger than Virat, I believe. So,
no, I think
are we looking at
similar?
There
age,
is practically, I can't see us. I don't see a player being groomed as the possible captaincy option, unless you expect these guys to play for the next 7 years, like what Jimmy Anderson is doing, which is also anything is possible in these days, when the fitness levels are so high. But that said, what are we moving towards? Are we moving without a possible captain in hindsight, or in foresight, sorry, or are we just happy with how things are? And Virat may have stepped down on his own decision, but is it something else which is not coming out properly? Only time will tell.
Yeah, some valid points. Spending time with the family and leaving a legacy behind. Izuru, your thoughts? What do you make of this?
If you look at Virat, like with what he speaks very highly of the Test cricket. He's a very strong believer that Test cricket is the way forward. You know, the white ball game is not dead. You know that people keep to think, oh, T20, now you get freaking T10s and things like that as well. So people are trying to. The world wants to move this side, whereas Virat wants to move the other side. Virat wants to preserve that white ball game, that red, the red ball, the white shirt, the blazer on the top, going for the, those little gentleman things in cricket is what Virat's after. So him stepping down from, the T20 captaincy, yes, it was a big shock to the entire world. But if you look at it, if you just take IPL, for example, as leaders, as captains, not individual performances or anything. If you take just captaincy and winning a match, Rohit Sharma stands way ahead of Virat Kohli.
Yeah,
right?
True.
And both of you can agree with me on this. So it is like Sharma is only about 1.5 years, like Narayan said. They probably might have not groomed the next captain, maybe a Pant, or, can be the next up and coming captain, like captain the Delhi Capitals, the under-19 World Cup. So he's got a bit of experience. And in terms of the grooming factor, I feel like, yes, there's a missing element to it. Like no one's really been groomed. Yes, Rohit Sharma can walk into the shoes and take captaincy over because he's built that up over the years. But is Rohit Sharma going to sustain the captaincy for the next 7 years? I mean, we don't know, right? We can't think of it. But it's time we, give a youngster a chance or things like that. Because if you don't, do it properly, you're gonna suffer. Like, for example, take Sri Lanka cricket, for example. We started losing players too quickly. The Dilshan, the Mahela, the Sangas, everyone just left in a clump, and then Sri Lanka still hasn't recovered. And now we're playing qualifiers against countries like Oman and Papua New Guinea and things like that. So if you don't groom the next set of cricketers, could be in big trouble, like really big trouble I'm talking about. Yeah. So I guess it's, in my opinion, I feel like someone like a Rishabh Pant, or a Shreyas Iyer should probably, take up captaincy.
Absolutely.
That's how I see it. That's how I see it. But, different people could, BCCI could have different opinions, saying, are we just going to replace someone for the time being, and then we'll see what happens. But,
you pressed some valid button, some stress buttons there. I was about to bring that point to you, that we saw how Sri Lankan cricket suffered when both their legends, Mahela Jayawardene and Sangha, both left. And while Sangha, while Mahela was the captain and vice versa, they used to take each other's help. But both of them were equally seniors. So I see a repeating pattern here. Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma be the obvious next choice. But when you talk of Virat stepping down, I think he wants to concentrate on his own form as well. Hasn't gotten his big 100 for a very long time now, but I think that could be one of the reasons as well. And I really agree with your point with youngsters being groomed, with the likes of Rishabh Pant, Shreyas Iyer. My heart goes out to him. He's not even in the World Cup squad, mainly because of his injury, and he's just as a backup, as is Shardul Thakur. But I definitely see these two. Also, the likes of KL Rahul. One of the strong contenders of the next captaincy slot. Why not test these three? So some good points that we are discussing with both of you. I'm loving it. And when you said Virat loves Test cricket, absolutely. There's no two doubts, no two thoughts. And we've seen that already this year. We've seen so many good Test matches. India drawing at Sydney, India beating Australia at the Gabba, West Indies chasing down 300 plus runs with a debutant double century, holding a good stand with the number 11. And again, India at Lords, India at at the Oval. We've seen so much of wonderful Test cricket. Test cricket is definitely live and kicking. Thank you, thank you. I was so supercharged with those points. These were some great some great points to discuss, and we also have one very important point to discuss now, guys. What came up two days ago? Events that folded in Rawalpindi.
Yes.
The whole cricketing world is at shock. We've been sharing sharing messages, sharing forwards, discussing with high voltage drama. What happened there? New Zealand, walking out of a tournament just minutes before the start of play, that could have been an exciting series for a country that has been deprived of international cricket for such a long time. They did that in 2002, 18 years ago, and again this happened. Narayanan, first, please share your views on how the events folded that day, and what were you thinking?
I kind of feel for Pakistan and Pakistan cricket lovers, the followers of the game. Imagine you've never had much cricket for the last decade or more. Yeah. Players are playing for Pakistan without knowing what Pakistan conditions are like. Yeah, domestic cricket, you can take one small aspect, but that's not what it is. You need the crowd behind you, the atmosphere when you're playing at home. And yeah, why not? They deserve every bit as much as every other national team around the world. And yeah, they earlier, so far, all these, Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka have tested the waters of playing in Pakistan. The PSL playing one leg in Pakistan, one leg in the UAE. Then I think about a couple of years back, they announced that the entire PSL will happen in Pakistan. And it has been happening and being held properly. And New Zealand was one of the biggest teams to come down to visit Pakistan amongst the top 4-5 teams which are presently playing cricket. So it was a big move. It was good stateside security, whatever was provided. I do not know what transpired. On the eve of the toss. It's just unfortunate that suddenly they decided that the players will not come out of the room and they're going to be flying back to New Zealand. You kind of feel, like on the cusp of the match, and then it's not one match being called off. It's like the entire series is being called off. So something has happened. Official reports haven't been declared as yet, but this now throws the England and the Australian tour also in serious doubt, because it's the same security arrangements that are being arranged for the other two teams as well. So whatever has happened now will definitely be shared amongst and discussed by the other two cricket boards as well, the ACB and the ECB. So, CA and the ECB. So yeah, but it is unfortunate that, it just, what so happened. And I feel for Pakistan and Pakistan lovers of the game.
So as a fan of the sport, it is very disappointing. And imagine something like that happening in India or in Sri Lanka. It would have been a disaster, considering the fact that there's such a huge fan following for this game in the Indian subcontinent. We would have been very disappointed. But you're right. So these five, the impact of this cancellation will be seen on the English and the Australian teams touring there. There would be, with a huge question mark. Should they go ahead? Should they not? Even the Pakistani Prime Minister, when he called the New Zealand Prime Minister, he couldn't convince them. So that these some. So there are some questions that Pakistan and their security arrangement teams have to answer. But someone, Izuru, you come from Sri Lanka, and your team went there in 2009, and some dramatic events unfolded back then, where we saw a chopper coming to the rescue, and Sri Lankan team being taken using that chopper. Please share what you as a fan would take this event as, for someone who has seen those news in your country.
I mean, going back a few years when, the whole bus situation happened, like, to be honest, that test match was set up very well. Yunus Khan on 300 something, Sangakkara had scored a double 100. Dude, that was an insanely good match to watch. Yeah. And then we get, Sri Lankan players get airlifted, and the whole world goes crazy, and Pakistan loses its cricket. And then fast forward a few years, not few years, maybe a decade later, cricket comes back, the World 11 Tour, South Africa, Zimbabwe, PSL, with the PSL, you got the likes of, English players and South Africa, New Zealand players actually traveling into, Pakistan and saying, one of the best security we've ever seen, and, being full praises, high praises. Even with this test cancellation, like I saw the tweet from Tim Southee, he had put saying, we felt very safe. I mean, I don't know.
I think that was Martin Gupta.
Oh, sorry, Martin Gupta. Sorry, my bad. So he had put a thing saying, he felt very safe and, all that kind of stuff. And even if you just watch with the Sri Lankan team, because they had some of the, some clips of how the whole security situation went, like, oh man, it is insane. Like, it is perfect. Like, it's very tight security, it looks very good in, the Pakistan government, the PCB, they're trying their best to, get, cricket into the country. And because, like, if you look at it, like, you have Pakistan youngsters, at the age of 19, 20, who doesn't even know what international cricket is like to be played in Pakistan, because they only play in they only play in the UAE. So imagine how much of an impact, like a mental impact for a youngster, growing up. Oh man, I am 26 and I still haven't played in Pakistan. How would they feel? What are the things, people not give them a chance and things like that. I think as cricket fans, we all obviously are saddened by what happened, but no one knows the exact detail of what's happened. I think, I feel like, that something could have been worked out, maybe postpone it by 3-4 days, or, could have worked something out, because, they could have worked something out with the whole test. It's not that, the PCB wasn't willing to cooperate or, something like that. They're like open arms, and you see the hospitality and stuff. It's amazing. Like, there's been no complaints from whoever has toured Pakistan. Like, it's amazing. It's security, food, you name it, the culture, like everything's been spot on. So I think, New Zealand could have given Pakistan a bit more time. Because if the players themselves feel safe, and, at the end of the day, the players are the ones who are playing the game, right? Not the people sitting in New Zealand, in the government. The 11 or the 15 member squad who goes to Pakistan are the ones who actually, put their life on the line. If they feel safe and they think, that's the best, if they're feeling good to go with it, just postpone it, have some time off, or, revise the plans, or, with this, people come up with so many different things on the spot. So they could have improvised, and, I'd say they could have gone up in the thing with the test. And minutes before the game starts, it's the financial loss. It's going to impact Pakistan cricket for the next few years. Like, minutes before cancelling a game is going to be heavily impacted. So I understand, Ramiz Raja had said, we'll see you in the ICC, obviously they're going to bring it some level of I don't know how they deal with it, but they would probably have some, some sort of thing to do with making sure that, these kind of situations don't happen again, and they have like a contingency plan or something.
Yeah.
If moving forward, because our Sri Lankan cricketers went with Sri Lanka, there were a few players who said, look, we are not comfortable. And, the Sri Lankan government said, if you're not comfortable, fine, you stay at home.
Yeah.
The rest of the team's going. So it was a player's choice whether to go or not. And and we had a good test match, and we played T20s, one days. We played pretty much the whole tour in Pakistan. And I think, players felt safe. They enjoyed it. And it was a good tour. I think New Zealand could have done better.
Yeah, some uncommon opinion being shared there, Izuru, by you, which is the nature of our series that we call Uncommentary, where we share all our common and uncommon opinions. Now, obviously, the team management of New Zealand cricket team did not feel safe, and they got this tip from their counterparts. As we all know, New Zealand, Australia, England, Canada, and it's the fifth. Yeah, so these four teams, they have a common intelligence system, and they share data and information for each other with regards to players' safety. So I think they got a tip from this intelligence base, and they felt the best was to call off the tour. But some contingency plan, if that was worked out, like why not play it again in the UAE? Something like that. Let's continue. But then having such a huge.
I must just.
I'll come to you, Narayanan. Just one second. Yes, I know with COVID and things, it is difficult. But I think instead of canceling, this is what I felt like they could have moved it to the UAE. But Narayanan, now I'll get you in here, please. Thank you.
No, that's a very valid point. I'm going to link 2 points over here. One is when Isuru said, about playing in the UAE, and you saying, why not have the contingency plan shifted to the UAE? We must now understand that the IPL is in the UAE. The UAE has 3 grounds. Yeah. You have about 8 IPL teams playing. The teams are going to be across multiple hotels around the city.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a logistical nightmare, to be honest. And now if you add 2 more national teams flying in for just 1 match or 2 matches, where are you going to schedule it? Because the IPL is going to be held simultaneously across 3 grounds.
Yeah, I'm not saying now. I'm not saying now. Probably, yes. Postpone it, say in the month of November or after the T20. That was my point. Yeah. Of course.
I guess when they say cancelled, I guess when they say cancelled, I don't think New Zealand is saying that we will not tour. I guess they will. It may happen maybe next year or something, or maybe later down this year. God knows when they have a calendar free, and they have a long summer coming up as well for their home season. So it kind of makes sense because and again, the official presser as to what actually happened has not been released as yet. But it's unfortunate,
Yeah, true. Some if I can't get over that fact since the day that that news came in, and but that brings us to another point. Now this is linked to the Virat Kohli decision. As you all know, Ravi Shastri's contract also ends in this year after the T20 World Cup. Any suggestion? I mean, not suggestion. Any thoughts as to who we could see the next change-up? Now, today I read this in the news that India had offered this role to Mahela Jayawardene, one of the wonderful ex-captains of Sri Lanka, an amazing coach, amazing player, and he's also the mentor and coach for the Mumbai Indians. He's done some amazing work with Rohit Sharma. So I think he could have been a wonderful choice. Izuru, what are your thoughts on that?
I think he turned down the opportunity because he's going to coach the under-19s on a volunteer basis just after the IPL.
Sri Lankan
so, team. And yes, the Sri Lankan under-19s. And he had said that his only interest at the moment was, coaching the Mumbai and the under-19s. And because obviously coaching India would be a big thing, right? India is heavily involved with a lot of cricket and a lot of player grooming. So from his perspective, I mean, I understand, he wants to just focus on what he can and not try to just grab everything because, I mean, the guy's shown results. Like, dude, he's won the 100, the IPLs, and he's a master tactician. Like, you ask anyone, he's got this, that's he plays with that. So it would have been good if, like, in India's perspective, if he took the job. But I'd say, given the work Rahul Dravid's done with the under-19s and a lot of the youngsters moving in to the, to the Indian team now, I'd say he would be a good person to replace, because the main reason is India is grooming the next set of youngsters, and who better than Rahul Dravid himself, who's worked with all these 20, 25 players. He knows them in and out, and he can, sit and talk to them, get them moving forward for the next, 10 years or so. I think, in my opinion, I'd say Rahul Dravid should be someone. And this is a bit of a wild card with adding to the coaching team. Wasim Jaffer should be someone who should be added to the coaching team. I remember watching him when I was a kid, playing for India, opening with Sehwag, and he's done wonders, for cricket in Mumbai, and his record speaks for himself. He's very technical, and things like that as well. So, and especially when you're looking at grooming youngsters, you need to give that foundation well. Otherwise, long term, it's not going to work out. So a bit of a wild card, but I'd say someone to add would be him. To the Indian coaching setup, with Rahul Dravid, especially because they played together, they know each other, and something to think about, I guess. BCCI, if you're listening.
Oh man, I love this. We should do this more often. Who would have thought of Wasim Jaffer? We all know he's got a good brain, just like you said, like Maila Jayawardene. Who is an amazing coach, who's done a wonderful job with Mumbai Indians, and he's done the right, he's taking the right decision in grooming the youngsters of Sri Lanka's future. Now, after these greats retired from Sri Lankan cricket team, they have been hard to replace, and we've seen what has happened to your team, and that's where it is important that Maila Jayawardene, the decision that is taken is in the right step. It's the right step for the country. Well done there. But some interesting point that, again, a very uncommon opinion. I would have thought someone like who's been chosen as the mentor for this T20 World Cup in forms of MSD, Wasim Jaffer. Who would have thought that? Narayanan, what do you think?
I completely understand when Izuru said that Mahila wants to spend time and groom the under-19, and that's exactly what Rahul Dravid also quoted when he was given the job of before Ravi Shastri was offered the coach of the Indian team. When Kumble resigned, he said, "No, I do not want to coach the national team because I don't think I can contribute anything to them. They have already reached the pinnacle. I am going to coach the Colts because I need to correct their technical flaws and their approach and understanding of the game right now. If not, it's going to be forever, lifelong. It'll be very tough to change that. So change it at the start itself so that you can move on and you can work on it." you can't change something easily, a technical flaw, when it comes on the senior side, on the professional side. So yeah, I can understand where Mahila is coming from. And yeah, Rahul Dravid has actually also said the same, and he declined the opportunity to coach India again when Ravi Shastri has decided not to renew his coaching stint. Yeah, and that's a valuable insight by Isuru. You know, someone like Wasim Jafar. Yeah, very good analytical brain for the Mumbai team, and yeah, he's been one of those guys, right, who's been born in the wrong era. Unfortunately, because he's born in the era when Sachin, Dravid, Lakshman, Ganguly, everyone in the team, he just couldn't find a place for himself. He's played the odd match here and there, but yeah, unfortunately couldn't sustain much. So yeah, he's done wonders for Mumbai Ranji team, and yeah, a good choice as well. Yeah, and I heard that I think BCCI has also approached Anil Kumble back.
Back. Okay.
Now let's see how that transpires.
I'm not really a fan of him in the coaching scene, to be honest. He doesn't really.
To be honest, he has not done anything wrong. He's done whatever the coach needs to be doing, and India were at the top back even when he was a coach. It was something between the captain and the coach in a way where Virat said, I cannot work with Anil Kumble, and Anil Kumble had no right to resign, but yeah, being Anil Kumble, he kind of stepped down from the post. And now, obviously, we do not know what happens back door, but as a coach, he's not done anything wrong, is what I'm trying to say. So, I think, is wrong? Why not give him a second chance at this?
Especially when you're seeing our neighbors who are, chipping and chopping their coaching team every year.
Coaching, captaincy, everything, man.
Everything. They chop and change everything.
Yeah.
Misbah, someday Misbah is your coach. Someday he's your manager. Someday he's your, I don't know, prime minister. I don't know. And he, next day he's gone. We don't know. Where is he? Yeah. So I
do understand where Isuru is coming from, because Kumble as a coach for Punjab in the IPL is, there are some question marks there. So yeah,
I mean, exactly.
If Indian cricket wants to take it to the next level, it's a good thought to have. Yeah.
Do you think BCCI should look for a foreign coach or stick to the local?
If that, okay, I'll take that question first. In the past, India has seen tremendous success under foreign coaches. The two biggest names come in the form of Gary Kirsten, who gave us the World Cup in 2011, and John Wright, who shaped the team, where after Mohammad Azharuddin and Jadeja and Nan Mongia were involved in that betting racket. So it was a brand new team that John Wright worked with Saurabh. Saurabh Ganguly, Saurabh, our Saurabh. But yeah, these two have been the most successful coaches India has had. And it was just 2 years ago when Ravi Shastri joined the team, and he's done wonders again. So how to step into this huge pair of shoes that Shastri is leaving behind will be a very, will be something to watch out for, and we'll see how Dada, being Dada, how he works to bring back Indian team at the top in all formats. Before I wrap up for this episode, any last words for this episode? Isuru, you first.
Not really. I mean, talking about the coaching thing, if you look at successful IPL coaches, will India bring in Stephen Fleming? Very successful. MSD's mentor. If MSD is going to be as a mentor, can he influence a decision to get Stephen Fleming as a coach? I guess I'll leave it at that. Will they go down that path? Because if you're Rahul Dravids and you don't want to come into coaching, unless Sachin Tendulkar wakes up tomorrow and says, "Look, I'm happy to coach the Indian team." That's a totally different story. it just going by success. The cricket's moving forward. So you need coaches who are up with the trend. People who are up and thereabouts. The tacticians and because if you look in terms of talent, like the freaking Indian team is talented. You don't really have to do anything. If the coach is not present, they can carry out. They're not babies. They know what to do, so they'll carry on their thing. It's just about at some time just giving that discipline. Yes, okay, this is that. I think that's what the coach really has to do in national teams, like because they move through the ranks, they've positioned themselves, they're talented. That's why they're in the national team. So if you take a coaching role, it's not a huge, like to the outside world, it doesn't look very huge because the players themselves are greats. If it's an upcoming team or a team which has chopped and changed like ours, then the coach really has to work hard to kind of build the team, But I guess we'll have to wait and see, what's going to happen.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that point. And Narayanan, you, what are your last thoughts on this episode? Any of the points we discussed or anything else you wanted to put forward?
No, not really. I mean, everyone should just understand that, COVID challenges are still existing. I do understand it's frustrating. Please follow the safety protocols. Please be safe and get yourself vaccinated ASAP. And also please do understand, Devang is taking some precious time out of his busy schedule, and we are recording this
so are you, Narayanan.
podcast. So please do share in your love, your comments, your queries, and do spread the word around. We do hope that we are discussing about the cricket game, and all the fans of the game can relate to the content. And our YouTube channel, as the link will be shown under the Uncommentary tag of the Cricket Therapy channel name. So keep your queries, keep your comments, spread the word, be safe, be healthy. And just to Devang, just to re-clarify for your friend. I do hope that there is someone ahead of me with a teleprompter or a placard, but no, there's no one.
That was funny. Thanks. Thanks, Narayanan, for your kind words, and thanks, Isuru, for coming in. Before we go, we've always been talking about the men's cricket. Some exciting cricket happening in Australia right now. Indian team is already here, the Indian women's team. And they're playing the Australian 11, and it'll be a wonderful series. Australia beat India in the first match. I support the Australian women. And some of my favorites, Meg Lanning, Beth Mooney, Elise Perry, she's back. And who are you guys rooting for, and who are your players to watch out for? Narayanan, you first.
I'd say. Oh, sorry. I didn't. I think there was.
No, that's okay. Izuru, you go first. Yeah.
I mean, I am a big fan of cricket in general. That's why we're here. That's why we're doing this. Yeah. So cricket moving forward, women, men, everyone, as long as you're enjoying it, that's all that matters. But players to watch, I really like Shefali Verma. So, I think the style she plays, that kind of sits in with me, as I like to play the same way. Very rash, very dash, but sometimes it comes out and you are on top of the world. But in terms of the Australian cricket team, I'd say Elisa Healy is one of my favorites. Number one, because she's the wicket keeper, and her glove work is just amazing. Like
I know, Izuru is a keeper himself, Narayanan.
So her glove work is just, I don't know, like she's the best. That's all I can say. So I really enjoy that. So she's my England player. I really enjoy watching the way she plays, and Shefali will be the other one I go from the Indian team. But I mean, overall, it'll be a good contest. Two evenly sized teams. They're very highly talented, very, very talented, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, some of the Indian ladies, they don't have their license to drive yet, but they obviously have the license to drive. Narayanan. Yeah, because some of some of them are not even 18. Yeah, Narayanan, sorry, you.
No, rightly put by Isuru. Shefali Verma is one name that is, I would love to watch, and along with that, Harmanpreet Kaur, Mitali Raj. Yeah, there's another girl, Verma.
Smriti Mandhana.
Verma.
Smriti Mandhana. Smriti Mandhana.
Smriti Mandhana. Yeah.
Another amazing prospect, not prospect, amazing player. And
good talent and good series. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And on that note, I'll thank you both again for joining me for this session on a very short notice. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching this and showing your love. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Thanks, Isuru.